right, y'all. What up? All right, y'all. What up? YouTube. I'm back again with another live video. This is another Kashmere read session where I just pick a book out of my collection of books and I just read as many chapters as I can. Y'all already know if the books have pictures in them, I don't show the pictures. I just read the book. If you want to see the pictures, feel free to purchase the book. I'm pretty sure every book that I have, or at least the books I present to you on my YouTube channel, you can find them at Amazon, eBay, your local bookstores. You might find them at the free library, wherever you're located at. But I'm back again. I was looking through these books and I felt like going back to My Sister Tommie, The Real Tammi Terrell by Ludie Montgomery and Vicky Wright, with a foreword by Dionne Warwick. This is the second expanded edition book, meaning it might be a little bit extra in this book than your other editions of this book. Because I remember the first time I read this book, it was a different cover. It was like a painting of Tammi Terrell holding on the wall. And then it was a painting, I guess it was supposed to be her sister Ludie behind her. And now with this edition, it's about three different pictures of Tammi Terrell during her adult years. And then it's a small picture of her and her sister when they were younger. And then it's a bunch of collection of photos in the back. Well, hold on, y'all. I gotta go. All right, my bad, y'all. I had to go to the bathroom and blow my nose. But anyhow, so we're back with My Sister Tommie, The Real Tammi Terrell. And now they have a collection of photos of her throughout her career. All right, the next chapter is called Ain't No Mountain High Enough. And this is chapter 12. In 1967, Tommie's whole world would change, starting with an incredible high. This was Tommie's year musically. My sister had the good fortune of being paired with Marvin Gaye, Harvey Fuqua, and Johnny Bristol would be producing again, and Nicholas Ashford and Valerie Simpson had just arrived at Motown as songwriters. They would become the magical songwriters for this magnificent duo. It took Tommie more than a decade of hard work, troublesome times, obstacles beyond her control, and a whole lot of faith in her own abilities, discipline, and focus. But now Timmy Terrell had arrived. Tommie was very popular and successful as Timmy Montgomery. Everyone knew who she was in the music industry. She was one of the very few people to have a successful career under two names. Excuse me, my nose is a little stuffy all over again. This new partnership was liberating for her. She felt a creative, artistic, and emotional connection to not only Marvin but to Nick and Val as well. She had already bonded with Harvey and Johnny. This was a great environment for her, one that she needed to be a part of. She had come to a new place in her life now. Her energy was flowing much more towards the right people, and she was becoming more grounded. As far as the whirlwind lifestyle she had previously lived, she has now arrived at a new plateau. She was tapping into her own. Now, let me check something real quick. Ooh, why the hell keep doing that? No, come on. She is tapping into her own creative energies. And Motown was a great outlet for her talent to soar even higher, and that they did. She had been through the battle, so to speak, and had a lot of experience under her belt. Her inherited wisdom was kicking in right about now, too. Tommie found deep and true friendships with Marvin, Nick, and Val. She thought highly of her colleagues at Motown, and this team of creative spirits would be the people she would mention most. In the following months, Marvin and Tammi would record their most memorable duets. Your precious love, if I could build my whole world around you. Ain't nothing like the real thing, and if this world were mine. Tommie's fair duet, it was written by Marvin. Johnny speaks of this time writing and producing some of the duets, and Nick and Val are reflecting on the same as they wrote and produced many of the famous duets as well. On Jan 6, Tammy recorded her vocals for the song written by Ashford and Simpson. Ain't No Mountain High Enough would become the beginning of something magical. A union transcended time and space. Marvin would dub in his vocals later in the month. The song flowed through the airways by mid-air. Ron Rocher at Grammy confirms the song was nominated for a Grammy in 1967. A great honor indeed. Timmy was only 22 years old. These souls connected to one another in the song, and there was no better partnership than Nick, Val, Harvey, and Johnny. Valerie Simpson. Ain't No Mountain High Enough was just written as a song, and we Didn't realize that it would be a great song for the two of them. Harvey and Johnny were getting ready to work with Tammy and Marvin as we presented the song to them. Nick asked for it. It was not a duet at the beginning. It turned into a duet. Everything kind of fell into place. They saw what was necessary, and we were there to change up anything they needed. And we all worked together. Marvin would tell me that Tammy was his favorite to sing with. She would cuddle up with him like she belonged to him. It was just beautiful what they had. Yeah, so at the end of the day, they were just friends who were very close, and they made it seem like they was in a relationship. But at the end of the day, Marvin loved and respected Tammy, and Tammy loved and respected Marvin. And yeah, people would get jealous, and they would assume. But I personally believe that Tammy and Marvin were just very close friends. And due to the music industry they was in, they made it seem like they were in a relationship to make the songs and whatever videos they did believable or performances. Johnny Bristol remembers how mystically the two of them blended on their first record. Marvin could feel Tammy, and it appeared that he felt her deeply when he sang to a track that was pre-recorded by her. Such was the case on a few of their songs. That connection between the two of them was there from the start. He could feel her, and that made him more alive, and it seemed that they did their work together at the same time. They were able to perform and make that possible from their closeness. Their respect and love for each other and friendship transcended the presence, and they both didn't have to be there to capture the feeling. Ain't no Mountain High Enough really sticks out in my mind because they blended so well on that recording. Nick and Valerie were great writers, so they made it a spiritual connection for everyone. We especially had a ball by the time Marvin had joined us for the duets. When Marvin came into the studio to work with Tammy and us, he was never down or depressed. He had a fun time, and everybody felt the same about the sessions. It was a great creative environment working with Timmy and Marvin. They did what they did naturally. We all felt the same about each other. We were glad to see each other, and everyone gave input to the songs. We would call ourselves the Riff Brothers. Timmy sang with us, so we call her the Riff Sister. We had a lot of fun with that in the studio. Her work ethics were the same whether she was working solo or with Marvin. She was very attentive, and she listened to us and grasped things quickly. She put a lot of herself into these songs. She personalized them. None of the duet songs I wrote were written about Marvin or Tammy. Nick and Val were inspired more to write about their friendship and connection. I wrote from other experiences, but Marvin and Tammy embraced the songs and made them their own. Well, they damn sure made it believable. Because I'm pretty sure people would assume that they were in some type of relationship or something like that. Even though both of them passed way before I was born, but me growing up listening to their songs and then seeing videos and whatever I could catch online, yeah, there was an absolutely magical connection amongst all of us, and it flowed creatively. We all clicked with them. We had to put them on different tracks in case we wanted to do it over. because they would do it so good and we didn't want to lose anything. It was done great. I don't recall any song that we had to go back and do again. It was perfect the way they put it down. We decided who would sing what parts beforehand, and they just came in and got the song and had it in the can in a few hours. Marvin and Tammy were fast and good. They would get into the studio. We handed the song. B handed the song, having never heard it, and have it done in a few hours. They had a magical, true, creative, and spiritual connection. And when they sang like they knew each other their entire lives, and they knew what the other was going to say and do. Their harmonies were so right on, and they were meant to sing together as a duet. I was crazy about all of our work together. I really enjoyed recording Your Precious Love. We all got involved with that one. If you listen to the background, that's me, Harvey, Marvin, and Tammy. We all, we had a lot of fun with it. You can listen to that one, and you can tell they love singing together. I am so glad she came along. It was an opportunity for Harvey and me. Nick and Val had arrived as songwriters, and we gave Nick and Val songs, and they gave Nick and Val songs to us to produce for Tammy and for Martin and Tammy. It was Mr. Gordy's idea to team up Tammy and Martin. It was a heavenly match. Valerie adds, I like Your Precious Love. There was something very sexy about the way they did it. The song was more intended for them when it was written. Speaking about how the songs were presented to Tammy and Martin in their input, Val says, Tammy gave a lot of input. Ad-libs were personal and they would come from her directly. Whatever you hear in ad-libs is all her, just as Marvin did. That's why it was so great to have them in the studio together because they would bounce off of each other. They were very happy with the final product, and it was a blessing for us because of the great performance they gave on Ain't Nothing Like the Real Thing. That began our production career. They really had fun on that song and loved doing that one. The music was happily withstood. The music has happily withstood the test of time. When we started singing our own duets, we were greatly influenced by the work we had done with them. You learn from the best, and they were the best as artists. I'm sure we picked up a lot of great musical ideas. Nick says of the timelessness of their work. Of course, it makes us feel wonderful. I think when a person gives all of themselves and it's on a recording like that and you can hear it anytime you want to hear it, it will always be something special. Especially when they give it from their souls as Marvin and Tammy did. Their feelings get injected into you. So that is the timeless part of it. It was good it was good then, and it makes you feel good now because they get it from such a pure place. Val and I would usually make a duo and send it to them. So by the time we got our part together, they would be well rehearsed on what they were going to do with the song. They had an interest in how they wanted to sing. I mean, they had an interest on how they wanted the song to go too. So once we got into the production of it, of course, each of them would add their own unique style to the song, and that was different from Val and me. when you have artists like both Marvin and Tammy who take lyrics which I am so attached to, and then they make them their own. It is a beautiful thing. Valerie Simpson, most of the work we did with them, we were lucky we had them together. They work with different producers, so perhaps with others they work differently. We had done both, and when you had that, you had each of them giving their best. Nick Ashford. There was also a certain amount of friendly competition between them, and that added to the magic. Oh, my nose. Oh, no, he said some most of the work with Valerie Simpson. I think also that their word came out of purity. We were innocent, and these were heartfelt songs from us. Tammy and Marvin were innocent in their response to the lyrics. And the population in the world was in a more innocent place as well. People felt it. We realize now after the letters we get just how many romance and babies were made from the music. It was a wonderful period of time, and people look back on those memories and associate those songs with those sounds. The creative chemistry is forever on these records. Nick says about the creative environment, especially between Tammy and Martin. But damn, all this damn reading. Why is he fucking checking so long? The creative chemistry is forever on these records. Nick says about the creative environment, especially between Timmy and Marvin. I think of an essence of love, they kind of represented that in their feelings towards each other. And there was a spiritual thing going on as well. They were united in spirit. Tammy's eagerness and energy was such that she really wanted her message to come across more through her feelings. She expressed to us many times how happy she was that we were writing for her because we represented some of her deeper feelings and emotions, things that she wanted to say and express. I think in putting that all together, it was a main force as far as making us write even better songs for them. We would think about them when we wrote. Valerie Simpson, Timmy's vivaciousness made this a fresher experience for Marvin. She knew this was a great opportunity for her, whereas he had done duets with female singers in the past. Everybody knows that Marvin was just the best singer in the world. So to her, this was a great stepping stone. She really turned on the charm and made it more fun for everyone, especially Marvin. We had never heard her sing before we worked with her. She gave a lot of input. Speaking on the artistry of both Tammi and Marvin, Johnny remembers Tammi and Marvin were each complex individuals. They were bound on a deep soul level. I think Tammi was an original. She had her own style, and no one can compare it to her. She was original in every way. She didn't sound like anyone, and there was no one who sounded like her. She was one of a kind. Marvin and Tammi were the best duo of all Marvin's singing partners. They made working in the studio fun. Sometimes the work was hard and tedious, but the sessions with them were pure fun. She brought Marvin out, and he was just real when she was around him. When it came to songwriting and producing, Nick and Val remember the competition involved among everyone and how much fun they had together. But damn. All right, Nick Asher. They had two producers, Harvey and Johnny. The producers were competing, so they had to sing it for them, and then they had to sing it for us. We would make them sing it one way, and Harvey and Johnny would make them sing it another way. So it was a lot of fun, and they had a lot of fun doing it. They put themselves into it, and that made it right and made it so beautiful. Nick and Val each had favorite memories of their time spent with Tammi and Marvin. Nick Ashford, I love when we would get all together after a session and just hang out and be together. Marvin would start to tell jokes that were not funny, and Tammi would wave her hand at him and say, "Oh, shut up." We were all so young then. It was always fun just being together and talking. We were full of life and everything. Tammi was a person who really liked her herself. You meet a person like that, and you know she didn't argue with people. She had a real great feeling about her. She loved life, and that was the beautiful thing about her. Valerie Simpson, I think my favorite memory of working with them is the fact that I really wasn't working and that I was being treated to this almost concert like environment. Even though we were the producers, we didn't have to do much or tell them much. When the magic is there in the studio, like it was between the two of them, you just sit back and watch some wonderful musical moments taking place, moments that stand out and have lasted for over 35 years. And can still remember smiling and saying, well, okay, that's it. It doesn't get any better than this. In March, Tommie would take a break from her schedule to attend Pop Oscar's funeral in Sumter, South Carolina. We were so sad. We felt fortunate to have spent time with him when we were children. He was a great man and a very wise person. He died of natural causes. He would never let a doctor touch him. He would always tell us, don't let them cut on you. Ironically, Pop died on March 16, 1967. This would become a very sad day in our family, especially for my father. I remember hearing one of the other people at the funeral saying something about Pop's eyes. It's a bad sign when the eyes are not completely closed. This is not a good sign. It's a bad thing. As if to say, bad luck was ahead for us. Little did that person know what was ahead for our family. Tommie was on her way back to Detroit and continuing her musical career, headlining shows in the spring. I I know. I now had a personal dilemma of my own. I began dating a young man named Donald and became pregnant. My father would arrange for Donald and I to marry. I remember when I told Steve Wonder I was pregnant and getting married. We both cried. Tommie was not happy with me either. She wanted me to end up with Stevie one day, even though we were both very young. I think she thought as time went on, we would become a real couple. But we only talked on the phone and saw each other when he was in town or I was in Detroit. Tommie soon accepted Donald and eventually was okay with the whole thing. Dolores says that Tommie spoke about the situation with her. Tammy was concerned for Ludie when she got pregnant and married so young. She later became happy about it. She just didn't want Ludie to have a baby so young. Tammy felt she had not lived enough yet. Tammy was a protective older sister. She was happy for Ludie, especially after the baby came. My new life was beginning in Philly, and Tommie's life was bursting out all over the world. Tommie was busy now with shows and doing TV spots with Marvin. They were Motown's sweethearts. America and even the world fell in love with them. The world fell in love with love during this time. Any woman at that time would have loved to have Marvin Gaye on her arm. Marvin was handsome, smooth, and sexy. Every time I heard that cool, tender voice of his, it hit a soft spot within me. I had my own secret crush on him for many years. They toured the country, and Tommie was happier now than at any other time in her career, performing all over the country at venues she had always wished to entertain, places such as the Coconut Grove in Los Angeles. Willie Todd remembers the most exciting thing she did while at Motown was her work with Marvin Gaye. Everyone loved, everyone tuned in to watch them on the Tonight Show when they were on it. I remember it was a big deal. Charlie Atkins worked with with both of them when they began performing. We all were together a great deal of time. They were just wonderful together. They had good vibes and energy. It was so wonderful, and the chemistry between them was great on and off stage. Our cousin Grace adds, I shared an apartment with Lola, and between Lola, Falana, and Tommie, I couldn't keep a job. Wherever they were performing, they would call me and send for me, and I would go. One time I had a job at a diner and was only there a few days. I didn't like it, so I quit. I didn't get my check. Marvin and Tommie went to pick up my check, and Tommie told me they went out and had a good old time with it and had fun. They had that kind of friendship together. Tommie and Marvin's friendship was very close. I know they connected deeply and knew the sacred side of each other. Tommie always had plenty of friends, but true friendship is hard to find in show business. Marvin had a deep loyalty and devotion to my sister, and she felt the same for him. I know that she appreciated him very much, and they understood each other. She had found an equal in him, and they went through a lot together. They nurtured each other spiritually, emotionally, and creatively with deep respect for one another. Respect and trust were something that eluded Tommie at times with the associates she had in show business. She had blind trust, but with Marvin, she felt safe. They were never lovers, regardless of what has been written. Anyone who knew Tommie knew how deeply she felt for David. And Marvin was married to Anna Gordy. Cousin Grace asked, Tommie would tell me that Marvin was like a brother to her, a brother she never had. Dolores adds, Sammy told me she and Marvin were not together and that they were close friends. He just wasn't her type in that way. I never believed those rumors either. David Ritz is the author of Divided Soul, the biography of Marvin Gaye. He spent extensive time with Marvin and says that Marvin talked about Tammy at length with him. Mainly, Marvin's comments were about how much he loved her energy. He said she was irrepressible. She was the kind of woman no man could control, although some men, he felt, got the wrong idea that they could control her. Marvin made it very clear to me and other friends that they were strictly friends and there was no hint of a sexual union between the two of them. Timmy represented the promise of youth to him, and he felt the duets were on expression of hopeful romantic love. She was a soul so sweet. Zola Gay, Marvin's sister, never knew Tammy but felt she had a deeper, closer, and more meaningful relationship with her brother because of the way he had nurtured, protected, and loved Tammy. He had carried that over to me. He gave me the same caring. He remained loyal to me his entire life, she explained. Tommy Hunt, Marvin Gaye took her under his wing, and thank goodness he was a protector and good friend to her. I would hear things through the grapevine, and I was happy that she had a friend in him. I knew Marvin pretty well. I first met him when he was serving tea at Motown, long before he was singing with Tammy. I was sitting in the office with Barry Gordy, and he came to me and said, "You're Tommy Hunt." I said, yes. He said, I'm going to be a star. I then said, I wish you all the luck in the world. And the next thing I know, he was a huge star. Sure enough, he and Tammi were very, very tight as friends, and they were never involved intimately. Martha Reeves, I only worked with Tammi on 3 or 4 occasions. When she arrived at Motown, her time was spent with Marvin, Harvey Frequent, and other producers. I didn't have a chance to be social with her. I don't remember ever eating a meal with Tammi. We were only on shows together. I thought she could really sing, and she and Marvin blended perfectly together. She had a wild side, and underneath you could see a precious little girl who rinsed her out young and did it well. Tommie had a gig in Atlantic City at the Wonder Gardens in the summer. I went with friends to attend her show. When she stepped on stage, she was in a gorgeous white and black panel sequin gown. The crowd went wild for several minutes. They oohed and ahed over her outfit like children. Tommie bellowed out her set in the strongest voice I had ever heard. Of course, she sang her favorite Sanders, but now she had a nice estimate of her own songs, plus melodies of some of the current hits of the day. Suddenly, I got the surprise of my life when I heard her say, ladies and gentlemen, my baby sister is here tonight, and I would appreciate it if you were to give her a huge round of applause. Well, I turned as red as a beet. At least that's how I felt. I know that I sang the very best I could that night with Tommie. My voice cracked on the high notes of I Can't Believe You Love Me. The audience did not seem to notice. I got standing ovation and my knees were still shaking when I sat back down in my seat. On my return home, I was elated and still on cloud nine. What a special night. Tommie was staying at a hotel on the Atlantic City Boardwalk, not far from Kentucky Avenue. It all seemed so strange to me. There was my beautiful sister headlining a show directly across the street from London's drugstore where she had worked as a cashier when she was a teenager. She was not far from the location of the tourist home my family operated just a few years prior. And then there was James Brown headlining at Club Harlem, just a stone throw away from Tommie. Deja vu. Our family made arrangements to go see Tommie perform during this same week. I joined my parents for a second trip to see Tommie's show. I think I wore a gray sharkskin dress and took a rap once. It was always cool in the evenings at the store. At the shore. Mom, Daddy, and I arrived at the hotel at about 3 o'clock. Tommie opened the door and she looked peculiar. She had sort of a faraway, dazed look in her eyes and was very surprised to see us. We had not called her to tell her of our plans. In retrospect, I believe Miss Parcels called our dad, and coincidentally, we had the existing plan to attend the show. So Aunt Doris was informed that we would be heading there anyway. Dale Ruffin was also there that afternoon in Tommie's room, and to me, he seemed in quite a hurry. He sh- he shoved his motorcycle helmet on, climbed over the balcony, and scurried down the side of the building. out the fire escape. I heard the cycle start and roar off. George Postal was Tommy road manager and was basically her assistant during her contract at Motown. She was staying in the room next to Tommie's. She knocked on the door and asked to speak to our parents in private. Aunt Doris, as we referred to her, and my parents disappeared for about an hour. Tommie reluctantly showered, applied makeup, and got dressed, all the while in total silence. My sister's show that night was mediocre. When we returned at the hotel, Tommie went straight to her room. Mother, Daddy, and I shared the soup, but Daddy had vanished. I want to tell this in its accuracy since my parents and I were there at the aftermath. There had been many embellished versions of the story, of this very same story over the decades that Tommie has been gone. You can see where things became misconstrued and how they became twisted over the years into this or the other. We were there, and most people who repeated this story often credit other person, a friend of a friend, a third party, or hearsay. It became very similar to the game telephone. That's where one person says something and then the next one repeats part of it, but adds more to or takes something away. This is why there are rumors out there about Tommie. Often people even credit Tommie or David as being the source behind them. It seems to me that the truth never came out because each of them knew we were there, and I doubt David would even mention that. That my father was there to anyone. There are so many inaccurate, inaccurate race. Ugh, I can't talk. Inaccuracies and misunderstandings as to what really happened in the final breakdown of their relationship. While my father had disappeared, my mother confided in me what had happened earlier in the day. Apparently, there had been a big argument between Tommie and David. This had been an ongoing feud between the two for months, ever since Tommie announced their engagement to a packed house in another state. Effects of the fa- facial. Is that how you Ficasso? What is it? FIASCO? Whatever that fucking word is. Were still brewing, and it came to a head. Dad was still angry. He was already married and had a family, and Tommie knew this now. Neither I nor my parents were aware of his marital status or the extent of the far reaching consequences of their relationship. Tommie, on many occasions, flaunted the ring he gave her and expressed to everyone that it was an engagement ring, knowing all along that he was already married. David was furious over the entire matter and it had escalated to this. According to Aunt Doris, they argued very loudly in the hotel room. Doris could hear them from her room. When Honduras did not hear any more arguing coming from Tommie's room, she went to see what the matter could be. She banged on the door. David finally opened it. Tommie was laying on the bed and there was applying ice on the side of her face. David went to get more ice from the machine, and that's when Tommie confessed to Doris that David hit her with his motorcycle helmet. Doris was unwell and called Mother and Father right away. We arrived a few hours after the incident, and that was when David put on his helmet and went over the balcony. It's a good thing that Daddy didn't find David that night because I'm sure Daddy would have ended up in prison. This was the beginning of the end of their relationship. Okay, so it's confirmed that she did get hit with a motorcycle helmet. I hate when I be looking on the internet, looking on Instagram and shit, and people be posting their damn food, because I be wanting some. And that food be looking so goddamn good, especially these people that do these damn mukbangs. They should be looking so damn full, but then when you try to go to the seafood spot and get your food, the platter is not giving what they players be giving on these mukbangs. I swear I could get some money and go to the seafood store right now, and that player gonna be stingy as shit. And that's why I said I don't know about seafood. Whenever I get some money, I probably DoorDash. I already got plans on what I want. I was thinking about doing a mukbang. I don't know if I man. I don't know if I'm a. I don't know. I don't know. Cause usually I don't know what the hell I'm gonna do. Cause usually I'll be saying, "No, I want this, I want that," and then when I get some money, I go out and go right to the damn store and forget that I even had planned what I wanted. So I don't know, but I did say I was gonna do a mukbang. Cause on some real shit, that's what I want. I want some crumble cookie, and I want some pretzels from the pretzel factory. I ain't had a pretzel factory in a long time, and I ain't had no crumble cookie since I ate that one cookie a while ago. And that's exactly what I'm gonna get. And I don't know if I want Popeyes or if I want Taco Bell, or if I don't know. I'll let y'all see whenever I get some money, and I'll come back and do the mukbang. Anywho, now back in Philly, I was still in high school and I graduated pregnant. Prior to this argument she had with David, I had asked Tommie if David would accompany me to my prom. I didn't wish to go with my new husband. I figured my sister was dating a temptation and I wanted to take him with me to the prom. Tommie never got around to asking David for me, so that never materialized. I did not get to attend my own prom, but I went to another prom. My friend cousin was gay and he took me to his prom. It was the first time it was the best time I ever had. And I tell you, ladies, if you want to have a great time, go out on the town with a gay man. We had a blast and loads of fun with no strings attached or funny business, so it all worked out. I was very proud of myself for the fact I did finish school being married and pregnant, and I attended a prom too. Child, I ain't going no prom. I'm in my 30s, and I always wanted to see what prom was like. Everybody else would go to prom. I would be on the block, and people be going on they senior proms and they junior proms, getting all dressed up. And the sad thing about it is, I never, ever, ever went on the prom, and I always wanted to. So I told myself one day, since I never went on prom, one day I'm gonna have me a party. I don't know what the occasion is for, maybe my birthday or whatever, but I want to have a prom themed party. But my mind always, I don't know when I'll ever have a birthday party. Everybody done had birthday parties. They were having it at a house or having it at an event place or something. I never had a birthday party. And the crazy thing about it, because around, you know what? I think I might do something in December. I am, because I am supposed to be getting some money in December, so it probably won't be on my birthday, but I'm definitely going to celebrate. I might not have a party, but I'll trust and believe I'll be doing something. And what is it? It's August now. I got September, October, November. I got, yeah. So yeah, I'll be doing something in December. Anyway, let me stop talking about myself. I'm supposed to read this damn book. Tommy's relationship with David finally came to an end this year. I do not know the exact date, but I do know from letters in my possession that their breakup was shortly after the incident in Atlantic City. Tommie finally realized it was just not a match and it was not working. When you feel deeply for someone, I think you sometimes imagine the impossible is possible. She could no longer try at this time. It simply was not going to work out. There were too many problems between them. She was growing now and moving forward in her career with wonderful things happening for her. But the two of them were on separate paths. This was a situation that was draining her emotionally and mentally. I know for Tommie, her career was first. She did remain in touch with David and always cared about him. My father would say to us, if you are trying to get somewhere and someone is not going your way, you had to cut them loose. She loved David, but she knew she was not going. He was not going her way, and it was time to let him go. As always, she did not dwell on the negative. She moved on and kept rising. she was looking to the future at all times. I think the newer space she was in creatively and spiritually helped her to make a wise decision. Now again, Tommie walked away and pressed forward. She had a great support system around her now. So yes, that's I guess that's the only two relationships they really gonna talk about is okay, she is with James Brown, then she's with Dare Ruffin, and and we spoke about the incident with James Brown and how they had the bloody dress. I guess they not really speaking much on her all the abuse with her and David, but they speak on her getting hit with a helmet and her face being swollen. And I done read all the majority of these stories over the internet. So I'm glad I got this book, and I'm guessing you could say it's confirmed by her sister. Grace remembers being at one of Tommie's shows that year, and she performed a song that brought Grace to tears. She performed For Once in My Life, and when she sang the words, she felt more so this particular time than ever before. The entire audience felt her that night. She meant every word she was saying. I never saw anyone do the song that great before or since. I told my friend who was with me that Tommie was truly doing what she loved. When she sang, she had pure joy, and man, you could feel her love coming through. On stage is where she was loved and accepted, and you really enjoy doing something. When you really enjoy doing something, there's a difference. And with Tommie, it showed. When she sang those words that night, she was in a high space in life. Her feelings came through in those lyrics that night, and she was singing about her music and her career, not a person. I told her after the show, damn, Tommie, you brought tears to my eyes. Hold on, y'all. This phone just never went to charge, no matter what I do. I just want this phone to charge. That's why I need to get me a new phone. Because this one don't do shit. It's like this 20 second. Ciao. That's absolutely no. I hate being in the laundromat because I got two heavy ass bags. Then that damn shopping cart is a fucking mess. You be hurting yourself. Then it shit be falling all over the goddamn place trying to get both bags to the laundromat and from the laundromat. Then I don't ever want to be in there for so fucking long. That's why I try to go early in the morning. I try to charge my phone up and go early in the morning when ain't nobody really in there. I could add the money to the laundry card, give me some laundry detergent and shit, throw the clothes in two dryers because I got two bags full, so it's probably gonna take about two dryers. Not dryers, two washers. And that's that. That's why I said, fuck that. I'm about to empty. When I do decide to go to the laundromat, I'm gonna empty the bags out and only fucking put in the bags what I actually will wear. If I ain't wearing it, it ain't getting washed. Cause I do not got time to be dealing with that fucking regular ass laundry card. My bad. I'm done. Let me finish this chapter because I'm over here daydreaming. That's exactly what I'm doing. I'm over here damn daydreaming. Right. I'm over here daydreaming. For once, I'm afraid I can go where life leads me, and somehow I know I'll be strong. For once, I can touch what my heart used to dream of. Long before I knew someone warm like you would make my dreams come true. For once in my life, I won't let sorrow hurt me, not like it hurt me before. For once, I had something I know won't desert me. I'm not alone anymore. For once, I can say, this is mine. You can't take it. As long as I know I have love, I can make it. For once in my life, I have someone who needs me. Marvin Tommy and Marvin began touring and doing shows at universities. I would just melt when I heard Your Precious Love on the radio. The crescendo on the song made my heart skip a beat. The United album first appeared on the pop album charts on October 7th. Marvin and Tommy were at the height of their career together when the darkness set in. During a performance on October 14, 1967, at Hampton Sydney College in Virginia, Tommy collapsed on stage into Marvin's arms. She went on to the next show where she ended up passing out again. Tommy was flown back to Detroit. Dolores, who got the call from Tommy, says, when she first got sick, she came over to our house where I was living with my mom. Tommy and my mom were very close. She called my mother Mama. When she came to Detroit after she collapsed on stage, she called my mother and asked if she could stay with us. She didn't want to be alone at her place. She spent the night with us. I made some phone calls for her and called her mother in Philadelphia. They came to pick her up from our house. This was the first time I met her mom. Tommy was so sick at our house. Once Timmy was so sick at our house. Once Tammy was back home in Philly, we talked on the phone when she was able to do that. I'm about to just finish this some other time because these damn chapters be long as hell. I'm sorry. Oh no, I'm almost done. Donnie and I lived over at the barbershop with my parents when Tommy came home. I was very pregnant at the time. What I remember from this day is so incredibly painful for me. Even to this day, it has been difficult to write about and relive, especially after all these years. I was at the top of the stairs and heard the jiggling of keys when Tommy entered the front door. Mother was holding her up and helping her to walk. Miss Postles was carrying a suitcase and the cabbie was unloading the rest of their luggage. A huge lump began to form in my throat and my eyes welled up with tears. I ran down the stairs to help her up to the second floor. It pained me deeply to see her like this. There was, there was my once vibrant and beautiful sister, partly paralyzed on one side. She could barely move her leg, and her arm hung loosely by her side. Her face was distorted, and her mouth was twisted. Her eyes were glossy dark, yet they looked as though there was a frosty, milky film over them. She spoke very slowly and with a slur, as my parents and Aunt Doris frantically made phone calls in the kitchen. What the fuck? Here I go again, daydreaming. I say doing this where I'm just looking and I just stop reading. I don't feel like reading no more. I'm gonna just read this later.